I always knew my body would give out someday. Not because I was weak. I served over 20 years in the infantry. I deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I'd seen men break in all kinds of ways, some from bullets, some from explosions, most from the silence afterward. But me, I thought I could take anything. I loved the military. It wasn't just my job, it was who I was. My name's Brian Walker, Sergeant First Class. I was 43 when I got hit. No kids, never had time. And maybe, deep down, I knew I couldn't bring someone into a life that revolved around war. I gave everything I had to the Army, and what little was left, I gave to Jessica. Jessica was my wife, 10 years married. She was a nurse, smart, calm, beautiful in that quiet way, soft-spoken, with kind eyes, the kind of woman who waited, the kind who understood the long silences. At least, I thought she did. She was always there when I came home, arms open, warm smile, everything in place. I believed in that. I needed to believe in it. When you're out in the desert watching your friends bleed out for nothing, you need to know that somewhere, someone is waiting just for you, that the world still has something pure in it. She never complained, not once, not when I deployed 9 times in a row, not when I missed anniversaries, birthdays, Christmas, not when I barely called for a week straight because of comms blackouts or missions. She held down the house, paid the bills, kept her job at the hospital, waited for me to come back in one piece. And I did. Every time. Except the last. It was a routine patrol in a green zone in Iraq. That's the worst part. It wasn't even supposed to be dangerous. But war doesn't care about routine. An IED hit our Humvee. I remember the flash. The sound went out like someone unplugged the world, and everything was dark. I was unconscious for 3 days. They flew me to a military hospital back home. I woke up to machines beeping, my body full of tubes, and Jessica sitting right beside me, just like I imagined. She held my hand, her eyes red from crying, whispering that I was safe now, that I was home, that she loved me. And I believed her. Even when the pain started, even when the doctors told me I'd never fully recover, nerve damage in my leg, months of rehab, no chance of returning to active duty. Even when everything I was, soldier, leader, warrior, got left behind on that dusty road somewhere east of Baghdad, I still believed in her. She became my world after the Army. She took care of me when I couldn't walk, helped me shower, changed my bandages, slept on the hospital cot next to me for nights on end. She told me we'd get through it. Told me I was still the same man she married. Told me I was her hero. I clung to every word, because if I wasn't a soldier anymore, at least I could still be her husband. But somewhere, quietly, something started to change. The days after I woke up were a blur of painkillers, physical therapy, and long, painful silences. Not just outside, inside me. My body felt foreign. My right leg was practically dead weight. My back screamed every time I tried to sit up. I couldn't even piss without help the first 2 weeks. But she was there. Jessica was by my side, always. She wiped my face when I sweated through the pain, fed me when my hands shook too much, cracked light jokes when I was on the edge of snapping. She told the nurses to back off when they got impatient. She fought for the right meds. She handled the insurance crap, talked to my CO, kept my folks updated. She was my wall when everything else inside me was crumbling. But here's the thing about war. It sharpens your instincts. You notice everything. A change in tone, a flinch, a glance, a silence too long.
You start reading people like maps, even when you don't want to. And Jessica, she started to shift. It was small at first. The way she'd look at her phone a bit too quickly when it buzzed. How she'd leave the room to answer calls, even though she used to take them right beside me. Or how she started showering at odd times, late at night, early in the morning. Once she came back from a pharmacy run smelling faintly of cologne. Not hers, not mine. I brushed it off. I told myself she was just stressed. Of course she was. Her husband nearly died. She was working double shifts, sleeping in a hospital chair every night, probably emotionally fried. I'd been home less than a month, still dragging a walker to the bathroom, and already my brain was crafting excuses for her. Because that's what love does. It makes you stupid in the most noble way possible. Still, something gnawed at me. She stopped asking about the future. That scared me more than anything. She used to dream with me about retiring to the mountains, maybe opening a little bookstore/cafe, growing old watching sunrises. Now, she barely spoke about tomorrow. Sometimes I'd catch her just staring out the window while I was talking, zoned out, distant, somewhere else. And the intimacy, it vanished. We hadn't had sex since I got back. I figured she was waiting till I was stronger. But even her touches changed. They became more functional, clinical, like she was checking vitals, not holding her husband. No more kisses that lingered. No more whispered, "I missed you so much." Just pats, light hugs, smiles that didn't reach her eyes. One night, I asked her if everything was okay. She blinked fast, looked at me like I just accused her of something awful. "Of course. You've been through hell, Brian. Let's not add stress to it." And then she kissed my forehead and walked away before I could press further. That night, I stayed awake staring at the ceiling. The heart monitor beside me beeped softly, steady and mechanical. But my chest felt anything but steady. Something was wrong. But I didn't want to see it. Because seeing it meant accepting that while I was overseas fighting for my country, something else, something sacred, was dying right here at home.
It was a Tuesday afternoon. The rehab wing was quiet. Too quiet. I just finished another brutal session with the physical therapist. Sweat soaked through my shirt. My thigh muscles were on fire, and I was mentally fried. But when I wheeled myself back into my room, Jessica wasn't there. She was always there after rehab. Her purse was on the chair, her coat draped neatly over the visitor's couch, so I knew she hadn't gone far. A minute later, the door clicked open. She stepped in, startled, like she hadn't expected me back so soon. Her hair was slightly messy, lips pinker than they had been an hour ago, her badge slightly crooked. She always kept it straight. "Hey," I said, "where were you?" She blinked, then smiled, too quickly. "Just stepped out to grab a tea. You were supposed to be gone another 20 minutes. That last line, that's what stuck in my head. You were supposed to be gone another 20 minutes. Why would she say it like that? Not, "I missed you," not, "How was therapy?" Just, "You weren't supposed to be here yet." She sat down beside me, acted normal, but I saw it. The tiny tremor in her hands as she adjusted her scrubs, the way she avoided looking me in the eye, the faint trace of someone else's cologne. Again. And just like that, my gut flipped. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment in my head over and over. The smile, the deflection, the smell, the way she touched me like I was glass, and the goddamn line, "You were supposed to be gone another 20 minutes. It was like someone whispered in my ear, "Brian, you know what this is." I didn't want to believe it. I couldn't. But once the doubt sets in, you start seeing everything differently. Next morning, I asked to be left alone for a few hours. Told her I wanted time to journal, meditate, whatever. She didn't argue. She kissed my head and left with her phone in her hand. As soon as she was gone, I called in a favor. One of the night nurses, Marty, was an Army vet, too. We'd bonded over VA horror stories and the garbage food in the hospital. I asked him if he could tell me who was spending time on our floor during off hours. He gave me a look, not nosy, not judging, just solid and understanding. He nodded once. I'll let you know what I see. Over the next few days, I kept my head down, played it cool. Let Jessica come and go, let her hold my hand, adjust my pillows, bring me soup. But inside, I was watching everything. And the pattern started to show. Every time Jessica said she was taking a walk or grabbing a snack, I'd hear the elevator ping 10 minutes later. Then, nothing. Then she'd come back looking flushed or freshly powdered. And every time, she had a glow that didn't match grief or exhaustion. I started clocking times, writing them down, creating my own little battle plan. Then, 3 days later, I got confirmation. Marty came by in the evening, handed me a folded piece of paper like it was contraband. He visits her. On her breaks, main stairwell, sometimes her break room, sometimes they disappear for 15, 20 minutes. I unfolded the paper. At the top was a name, Dr. Evan McCarthy, the chief of medicine, a tall, smug son of a bitch I'd seen around. Never liked him. Always a little too polished, too charming, too performative. Like everything he did was for an audience. Jessica once told me she respected him, said he was brilliant. A little intense, she added, but great under pressure. Right. That night, I watched him. I wheeled myself out of my room, took the elevator up to the administrative floor. I sat near the break room, pretending to read a newspaper, my hoodie pulled low. At 7:42 p.m., I saw him walk past the glass, together, laughing. She touched his arm.
He leaned in, close, too close. I watched them enter a supply closet, the door shut. My hand trembled on the wheel. They didn't come out for 22 minutes. I didn't cry, I didn't punch the wall, I didn't scream. I just sat there, frozen. Not from pain, not from the busted leg. From the sick realization that while I was learning to walk again, my wife was wrapping her arms around another man, in the same damn hospital, under the same roof. And the worst part? She probably thought I'd never find out. I didn't go back to my room right away. I just sat there in that empty hallway, in the weak hospital light, staring at the door they'd disappeared behind. 22 minutes. That's all it took to kill 10 years of marriage. The next morning, Jessica came in with a coffee, like nothing happened. "Thought you might need the caffeine today," she said softly, setting the cup beside my bed with that practiced little smile. I nodded. My hand stayed under the blanket. My eyes didn't leave hers. "You sleep okay?" she asked, brushing my hair back slightly. I wanted to slap her hand away, but I didn't. I just watched her, and for the first time, I realized I didn't recognize the woman standing in front of me. I didn't say anything that day, or the next. I was gathering something more dangerous than evidence: composure. I waited 2 more days. 2 more days of letting her play nurse, letting her sit at my side, stroke my arm, check the monitors like she actually gave a damn about my vitals. 2 more days of pretending. But inside, I was burning. It was a Friday when I finally did it. I'd planned it all night, couldn't sleep anyway. I had it rehearsed in my mind 100 times. I thought maybe I'd yell, accuse, slam my fist into something. Maybe I'd cry. But when the moment came, it was colder, quieter. She came in around 6 p.m. It was almost time for dinner. She brought takeout, Thai food, my favorite. Normally, that would have warmed me, but now it just made me sick. She set it on the tray, pulled her chair close, and looked at me like everything was fine. "How was PT today?" she asked. "I saw you in McCarthy the other night," I said flat. She blinked. A pause. Too long. Then, "What?" "I saw you. Tuesday night. Closet on the second floor. You were in there 22 minutes. I counted." Her lips parted slightly. No words came out. Just silence. Then, like a reflex, she laughed, short, breathy, defensive. "Brian, what the hell are you talking about?" I didn't move. Didn't blink. "Don't lie to me, Jess. Not now. Not after everything." She froze. And there it was, the moment of no return. Her face went blank. Then something cracked behind her eyes. Not guilt, not shame, something colder, like a mask falling off. "You were gone for almost a year, Brian. You were dead to the world. I didn't know if you were coming back. I didn't know if I'd ever speak to you again." I stared at her. "So you fucked your boss?" She narrowed her eyes. "Don't talk to me like that." I shook my head slowly. "No, you don't get to control the tone now. Not here. Not after screwing him in the same building where I was learning to walk again." Silence. She looked away, jaw clenched. That vein in her neck twitched. Then she whispered, "You don't know what it was like. You were gone, Brian. You've always been gone." I sat with that, because some part of me understood.
I'd left her behind more times than I could count. Left her to live on standby while I chased ghosts and glory across the world. But I never cheated. I never took what we built and pissed on it. "I died out there," I said quietly, "but I still came back to you." She stood up. Her hands were trembling. "I didn't plan it. It just happened." I gave a bitter laugh. "Every day, in the closet, that doesn't just happen. That's a goddamn relationship." She didn't respond, just grabbed her bag. "I'm gonna give you space," she said. I nodded. "Yeah, do that." She reached for the door, paused. "I still care about you," she said, almost like it was supposed to mean something. I looked away. "Leave the key," I said. She didn't argue. I heard the metal clink as it hit the table. Then the door opened, closed, and I was alone. Really, truly alone. No more illusions, no more warm smiles, no more delusions that love on its own is enough to keep two people from drifting into strangers, or worse. Just the quiet beep of a heart monitor and a bitter taste of truth in my mouth. The day after she left, the nurses stopped calling her. They used to ask, "When's Jessica coming back?" Now they just didn't. The silence said more than words ever could. I sat in that hospital bed with the tray of untouched food, the stale air, and the faint smell of antiseptic, and all I could think about was how fast it all collapsed. 10 years.
10. Gone like flipping a switch. I didn't cry. Not really. I tried to. God knows I tried to let it out. But the tears just wouldn't come. Maybe it's because I'd already cried enough in my life. At 23, when we lost 3 guys to a mortar attack in Ramadi. At 27, when I came home and realized I didn't recognize my own father. At 38, when I watched a kid bleed out while calling for his mom. But this was different. This was rotting from the inside out. I kept replaying her words. You were gone. You've always been gone. And she wasn't wrong. I gave the Army everything. I wasn't just gone physically. I was emotionally AWOL, too. My life was about missions, ranks, dead friends, next deployments. I gave what I had left to her, but maybe it was never enough. And maybe she stopped waiting long before I ever noticed. But does that justify it? Does that give her the right to replace me while I was lying half dead in a foreign desert? No. Not like that. I didn't just lose my wife. I lost the version of me that believed in her. And that's a different kind of death. I stopped eating for 2 days. Didn't answer texts. Didn't respond to the chaplain who came by. Ignored the social worker. Even Marty, the nurse who had tipped me off, tried to talk. I nodded, thanked him, but I had nothing left to say. Nights were the worst. The room would dim, machines beeped around me, the shadows stretched longer, darker. My mind started doing things I couldn't control, playing out scenes I never saw but could imagine too clearly. Her fingers in another man's hair, her lips saying yes to someone who wasn't me, her body wrapped around the man who came to visit her during my physical therapy hours. My nightmares used to be gunfire and screams. Now, they were worse. One night, I broke. I rolled myself to the mirror in the corner of the room, looked at my reflection for the first time in weeks. I barely recognized the man staring back. Gray in the beard, hollow cheeks, scars across the chest, bags under the eyes that didn't sleep. But it wasn't the damage that shook me. It was the emptiness in my own eyes. That's when it hit me. She took more than just our marriage. She took the last thing I thought I had left, a reason to matter. And yet, I was still breathing, still alive. And maybe, just maybe, that meant something. Later that night, I opened my journal. It had been sitting untouched at my bedside for weeks, a gift from one of the VA counselors. I used to think it was stupid, writing your feelings like some self-help garbage. But now, I had nowhere else to put the pain. So, I wrote. Not a letter to her, not a list of grievances. Just this. My name is Brian Walker. I'm a soldier. I am broken. But broken doesn't mean over. It just means I have to rebuild. I closed the book, took a deep breath, and for the first time in weeks, it didn't hurt to exhale.
The doctors cleared me for discharge on a Wednesday, 6 weeks after I found out. 6 weeks of silence, therapy, grit, and ghosted calls from Jessica. She texted once, just once. I'm sorry. I know I failed you. I don't expect forgiveness. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, because I couldn't. There is nothing left between us to even bury. No final fight, no scream, no closure. Just silence. I left the hospital with a cane in one hand and a duffel bag in the other. No balloons, no welcome home party, no one waiting outside in a running car. Just me, on a bench, breathing. A buddy from my unit, Marcus, eventually picked me up. He didn't ask much, just helped me load my gear into the truck and handed me a coffee. "You good?" I nodded. He didn't push, and I appreciated that more than he knew. He let me crash at his place for a bit, helped me get to the VA, sat through meetings with me, kept the fridge stocked with beer and frozen pizza. He knew I wasn't ready to go back to the house. Her house. Eventually, I sold it, quietly, through an attorney. Didn't even go back to PAC. Told them to donate whatever was mine. There wasn't much worth keeping anyway. Just uniforms and shadows. Instead, I moved 3 states away. Small town, fewer people, big sky. I started volunteering at a local veterans center, helping younger guys navigate the mess after service. Some of them had physical wounds like mine. Others, mental ones I recognized in their eyes before they even spoke. One night, a kid asked me, "How do you know when it starts to get better?" And I told him the truth. You don't. You just wake up one day and realize the pain doesn't own you anymore. It's still there, but now you carry it. It doesn't carry you. He nodded, didn't say anything else. I think that's when I knew I wasn't broken anymore. Cracked, sure. Bent, maybe, but not broken.
Sometimes I still think about her. Jessica. Her laugh, her steady hands. Not the lies, not the betrayal. The woman I thought she was. That version of her is gone. And the version of me that trusted blindly, he's gone too. But the man I've become, he's not weak. He's not bitter. He's just real. Battle-scarred, rebuilt, quieter, but alive. And sometimes, that's the win.